This is the Red Line, and I am your host, Jimmy Red. Thanks for tuning in. Folks, it is week 13 in college football, and that means it's rivalry week. And we are set, stacked, big games ahead, as I mentioned last week in week 12 of college football, with all the predictions done, that there were huge games. One of those games doesn't mean as much, still means something for a couple of teams, but West Virginia, who was defeated this week, that changes up a little bit on the Big 12, so we'll get into that here momentarily. But the games we predicted last week, we're going to go back and give you the predictions I gave you again, and then let you know what the final score was. One of those games I predicted that was really high on everybody's really want-to-see list, that was number 13 Syracuse versus number 3 Notre Dame. Notre Dame didn't have many tests this year up to this point. They faced Michigan week 1. Michigan's not the same team. They faced against Stanford when Stanford was ranked 7th in the country. Stanford is not the same team this year either. They don't have the quarterback they used to have. KJ Costello is not the same quarterback. And Bryce Love is having just a little bit different year. Also, they played Virginia Tech. Still not the toughest team ever. They were ranked 24th when they played them. They played Pitt tough, barely beat them, and they also played Northwestern and barely beat them. So people were really high on the hopes to see what Syracuse could do in that game. Syracuse played against Clemson tough. A lot of hopes were high in this game. I said it was going to be 38-35. I thought it was going to live up to the hype for sure, but it definitely did not. It ended up being 36-3. Notre Dame went in there and put a blistering on them and never looked back. And it was bad how they just went in there and did whatever they wanted. I mean, Ian Book ran the football, threw the football, and did everything he needed to do. Ian Book threw for 292 yards, almost had 300 of them this time, threw for 2 touchdowns and an INT. He had a game, just a game, and it was beautiful to see. The running game, there wasn't much there for either team. Both teams ran for roughly about 100 yards combined with all rushers. Passing games where this game was won for Notre Dame because of the fact of Ian Book. Ian Book just looked fantastic. Their defense looked good as well. They made Syracuse turn the ball over 3 times. When you turn the ball over that much, you can't win a game. And Notre Dame's defense stepped up, made them turn the ball over, and that's what did that for them, because Notre Dame ended up with 64 yards of total offense, and Syracuse only ended with like 230. So they almost doubled. They actually did double almost doubled. Sorry, if it's 230, it would have been 460. And, well, they did. They doubled them. I'm sorry. Yeah, they doubled their offense because of the turnovers. And, hey, Notre Dame, I'm telling you, it's the deal. They play USC this weekend. In USC, University of Southern California, they're not the same team. JT Daniels, young quarterback, true freshman, not the same team that they usually are. Notre Dame should win that, easily stay in the top 4, be into the playoffs. Another game that was high on at least my horse was the Arizona-Washington State game. Man, I thought Arizona was going to be better than that. Kevin Sumlin put his team to play pretty tough this year. They've been in most of their games. Were very competitive throughout the year. Sumlin, I thought, was going to take that team to the next level. There was a crazy thing I saw. Most of the teams that are new coaches with Kevin Sumlin, Herm Edwards, Chip Kelly, and all those guys, 2 of them are under 500. The rest of them are over 500. So that's pretty cool to see. Now with this loss, this obviously drops Sumlin under 500. He's 1 game under 500. 1 win away from being bowl eligible his first year as a head coach. Well, I said the score to that game was obviously going to be a Washington State win, 35-28. But nobody expected the number that Washington State put up. Washington State put up a number. 69 points. 69-28 was that final score. They had a fantastic offensive game. I'm talking Winshaw had a phenomenal, 7 interceptions. 7 interceptions by Minshaw. Wow. That's phenomenal. He threw for 475 yards and 7 touchdowns. No interceptions. 0. And he just destroyed that team. Picked them apart little by little. And Arizona looked like they didn't belong on that field. Khalil Tate did not have a fantastic game at all. He threw for 294 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, but those 4 touchdowns with only 300 yards, most games I would look good, but when you only get 28 points on the board because of that, that does not look very good. He threw an interception. That hurt for a turnover, but during this game, they couldn't hold on to the football yet again. they had they have 4 turnovers in this game compared to Washington State 0. Turnovers. Can't win a game if you don't hold the football. You hear me say it all the time. Arizona lost this game big. 4 turnovers. I'm not saying those 4 turnovers would have put them back in this game because they got blown out of the water. But 4 turnovers definitely hurt. First downs were won by Washington State, and so were the yards. They beat them by almost 200 yards of total offense. And when you have over 200 yards, you shouldn't obviously put up 69 points, but they did. So congratulations to Washington State on the huge win over Arizona. I definitely thought that was going to be a closer game. Another game I was living up for was the Duke-Clemson game. And I know when I told you guys on here, I said, Duke and Clemson, and everybody's like, well, Duke, it's Duke. They're a basketball school. Yeah, but I told you, Duke started off 4-0, lost one game, then came back, and then won, and then went 5-1. Were unranked, never got ranked, but they were a good team. They're now 7-4 after the loss to Clemson. Clemson manhandled them. I'll just say it. I said the score was going to be 43-20, 13-point spread. No, 20. What did I say here? I said 17-point spread. It ended up being 35-16. Or 35-6. Wow. I don't know where I got 16 from. 35-6. And it showed that the Clemson's was the deal, man. Clemson is real. Trevor Lawrence, when they put him in there to take that spot at starting quarterback away from Kelly Bryant, everybody was questionable. I know I was. You got a freshman 5-star coming in to replace a guy who has proven himself as a national champion competitor. And Trevor Lawrence has proven me wrong most of this year. He's had a couple games where he struggled, but he's had games where he looks good as well. I can't wait to see him on the big stage when it comes playoff time, for sure. He went out there, he had 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good game. Duke's defense is pretty solid through most of the year. Travis Etienne, 9 carries, 81 yards, averaged 9 yards a carry with 2 touchdowns. That's pretty spectacular for Etienne. Etienne's one of the premier backs in college football. He's one of the ones I'm looking out for if he goes into the draft to watch and see where he goes and who he's with, because he'll be a guy that you see for years and years to come. Clemson had Clemson, I think, had 460 yards, something like that total offense, and Duke only barely put up 250. So the yards were definitely off, and both teams didn't have any turnovers in that game. So it was a competitive game through the end. It was just a better defensive side for Clemson. Clemson even held the ball less time in that game. They only held it for 27 minutes, while Duke held it for 32. So time of possession went to Duke, but that's all that Duke had in that game because Clemson put it on them to stay undefeated. They're still at number 2 in the country after that win. Another game that I was all pumped up for was the Iowa State-Texas game. I was pumped. Texas had to win this game. Had to win the game. And they did that. I said it was going to be 36-30 because it's a Big 12 matchup. A lot of points put on the board. Usually that's what happens in a Big 12 game. Well, it only happened to be 24-10. Texas with the win. Hook 'em horns. Well, there was a lot of stuff to come out of that game. Sam Ehlinger got hurt, and they did an MRI to find out if he's going to be able to play, to let you know his status. I have yet to hear his status as of now if he's going to be able to play. They play Kansas this week. If they beat Kansas, Texas will be back in the Big 12 game to play Oklahoma, who they defeated earlier this year in the Big 12 championship game, and is the first time Texas will have been back since 2009. Let's go Horns. Only thing going here is if Texas does win that game, then Texas will probably not be in the college playoffs because they have 2 losses, which completely knocks the Big 12 all the way out of the playoffs, which means it's going to put somebody else in there. Although none of them are in there right now at this time, a conference championship could mean a lot to someone in the committee. So Oklahoma, if you're a huge Big 12 fan, you want Texas to win, but you want Oklahoma to win the Big 12. But Texas could be in the Big 12 championship with a win over Kansas this week. Huge favorites. Big news for Kansas. Next year they will have head coach Les Miles. Ex-LSU head coach will sign with him. So big shout out to Les Miles in Kansas for the new coach. But something I thought was pretty crazy there from that game that you guys might say, wow, that they probably didn't really see too much. But Iowa State did not reach the end zone, did not reach the red zone in that game until there was 2 minutes and 16 seconds left in the game. Texas held them out of the red zone the entire game. They were 2 minutes and 16 seconds away from doing it, and they got it on a big play, or they wouldn't have got that. So Texas defense stepped up big. You don't normally see that in Big 12 matchups. That's what they need to do, considering they're going to play a big, high-powered offense in 2 weeks against Oklahoma. If they win, as I mentioned again, against Kansas, it's another chance for them to show their defense, get their defense to that next level, have them show confidence, and be ready for Oklahoma, because Kyler Murray is coming, and he's going to be ready to go. So Texas needs to get up, ready, pumped to go about that. I need to find out more about Sam Ehlinger. If he takes a week off, that would be okay, but he needs to be ready for that Oklahoma game for sure. In the game that disappointed me the most, it was the best game of the whole weekend, though, was the West Virginia-Oklahoma State. And if you recall, I said watch out for Oklahoma State. I said watch out for them because they knocked off number 6 Texas. They almost knocked off number 6 Oklahoma. And they just played West Virginia. And guess what? They did that. Mike Gundy had his guys ready to go. They came in there and beat Oklahoma State, came in there and beat West Virginia 45-41 in a shootout. I said it was going to be a shootout. My score was low. I said 24-29. I don't know why I said it was going to be so low. I knew it was a Big 12 matchup. It was going to be a shootout, and it came to be one. 45-41. Man. What can you say? Will Greer's hopes pretty much are over for the Heisman Trophy. Their chances to win the Big 12 over. It's their second loss of the year. Will Greer took his team down the field, looked phenomenal in the last drive to get them back in range. Just couldn't get the ball fed in there as time expired to get the W. So Will Greer still disappointing for me to see that happening because I don't think he can win the Heisman because of now losing 2 games. It hurts the chances for the Big 12 to get into the playoffs with that loss for sure. I was pumped about that game against Oklahoma, West Virginia. But what can you say? It was a phenomenal game, and if you're a football fan, you liked watching it. I'm happy to see Gundy get him another upset. It's always good to see the underdog win, but when you want to see an awesome matchup that means a lot more for who could potentially get in for the Big 12 into the playoffs and make that committee work that much harder to make it that much better, it hurts for sure. Also, another team you want to shout out with that could be for a committee, 23 straight wins for UCF. UCF is rolling, folks. I just want to let you know. They got a big win over Cincinnati, ranked 24th in the nation. They won at 38-13. Huge win there. A lot of people thought the Bearcats would be a tough competition. Their offense stepped up a couple weeks ago, got themselves ranked. They went against UCF, and UCF was rolling. A couple more things on UCF. UCF has scored 30-plus points in every game that they have won. Through that span, they have won by an average of 23 points, which is phenomenal to win by 23 points. But they also do play in the AAC, the Athletic Atlantic Conference. They had 5 wins by under 7 points or less, and 3 wins were ranked opponents. All of them came in 2017, being last year. This was their first win this year against a ranked opponent, and that was Cincinnati. So they now have 4 wins against them. But that is crazy. Also, Indiana played against Michigan tough. Unable to pull that off. Michigan played tough in the end of that game. But you guys got to watch out for a kid. His name is Stevie Smith. He's a true freshman. He's a running back there at Indiana. He's going to be good. He looks better than Tevin Coleman. Coleman was a kid who went through there as well. Also, Jordan Howard went through there as well. That's the guy who plays running back for the Bears. So this kid, Stevie Smith, looks phenomenal. It was his 5th 100 game against Michigan. He ran for over 100 yards. His 5th one of the season. That ties him with Anthony Thomas. Thomas had that record since 1986, and he now has over 1,000 yards rushing this season. So that's cool. He doesn't go to a big school. He goes to Indiana, folks. Big Ten. A lot of people don't hear about those people. So keep an eye on him. He's going to be one that you hear about for a while, and he's going to be one you probably hear about in the NFL as well. And before we get into next week's games, which we have some phenomenal ones coming up this week, I want to go through my playoff rankings. I'm going to give it to you in the middle this week because I'm going to change it up on you guys. And my rankings are 1 Bama. You can't move the top 4. Bama 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3, and Michigan's got to stay at 4. You got to leave them all the same way. Really, the only change I had was West Virginia. I had at 6. You now have to put Oklahoma in at 6, Georgia at 5. But there is a team that you got to watch out for. It's Washington State. Washington State is that. I mean, it's right there. It's a dog hair away from being a 6. So they're a 7. If Oklahoma loses and Georgia gets beat by Alabama, Washington then jumps into the 5 spot. And let me tell you, folks, they got an argument to be in the top 4. They have an argument. They play in the pack. They've played Stanford. They've played these tough schools. They've played Washington, who they play this week. If they defeat Washington, that's another story that they can put into their resume. Washington State has some stuff on there. So this week, Washington State is a huge fan of Alabama and a huge fan of Texas, because that then gives them a chance to put themselves into the playoffs. And, I mean, they are this close, folks. I mean, I'm talking a dog hair away from being in the top 6. So watch out for them. I'm telling you, they're a phenomenal team, and they could squeak in there, and people haven't even been watching them most of this year. But with that being said, those matchups are going to have a lot of implications this week. Are the Oklahoma-West Virginia game. I'm not as happy about that game as I was last week. I was really pumped about it last week. Will Grier, Kyler Murray. Number 2, Kyler Murray in the Heisman. Number 3, Will Grier, battling it out. Who's going to win it? Winner wins the Big 12. Could potentially get in the playoffs. Well, the playoff part's over. The Heisman's over. But they're still 2 phenomenal quarterbacks. And I am pumped to watch that game. Still doesn't have as much meaning to it, but I'm still pumped to see it. I want to see what these two have. Will Grier's thrown for over 3,300 yards this year with 33 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Kyler Murray, who we all know is drafted, already's got a professional contract to play baseball for the Oakland Athletics, has 34 touchdowns and 6 interceptions with 3,300 yards as well. They are neck and neck. 2 more interceptions for Grier, 1 more touchdown for Murray. Both got the same amount of yards. It's going to be a burner, boys. I'm stoked. It's going to be an awesome quarterback matchup. They don't really know how to pick it in the booths either. It's a 50-50 pick, basically. It's 48 for West Virginia, 52, 48, 52. It's changing around so much. It's almost a 50-50 split. The spread's only 2. It's only a 2-point split, and the 2-point split goes to Oklahoma. And it's going to be a barn burner, man. It's going to be a phenomenal game. I think the X factor is going to be that they're playing in West Virginia, in Morgantown. But I think West Virginia might want to play spoiler, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to be able to do it this week. Will Grier is going to put a fight up. They're going to be unable to do it. I think Oklahoma wins that game 48-41 in a shootout. Quarterback after throwing touchdowns. It's a 7-point spread. I think Oklahoma covers. Give me Oklahoma 48-41. Another one I have here that is a matchup that a lot of people are like, it could be a good one. It could be. Or they're like, South Carolina, Clemson. I like it. I'm all about it. I like it. I think that kid who plays quarterback for South Carolina, and Jake Bentley, is real. I think he's a really good quarterback. He doesn't have the team he's had in years past, but I think he's a good quarterback. He's got 2,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He's not the best quarterback there is, but I think he's a very smart young man who plays behind that center position for the University of South Carolina. Is he going to be able to match up with Trevor Lawrence? I think Clemson is tough, man. Clemson's got a lot. They got T. Higgins who can catch the ball. They got Hunter Renfrow who can catch, Travis Etienne, and Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be a tough matchup. The people got a lot of this going towards Clemson. Clemson's a huge favorite according to the fans. It's even a huge favorite according to the sports books as well. The spread is phenomenal. The spread is 26.5 on that game. I mean, that's huge for a matchup like this. I don't have it being that much. I think that Clemson can't hang in there enough. I think Jake Bentley doesn't have enough firepower. I think he outsmarts a lot of that stuff, but I don't think he has the firepower to be able to beat a Clemson right yet. I think Clemson walks into the ACC championship game with ease after this one. I think they win 38-24, 14-point spread. Spread's 26. I don't think Clemson covers. So if you're a fan, take Clemson or take South Carolina to cover the spread. I don't think Clemson can cover it. But I think the score is 38-24 Clemson with the win. And this is one people are kind of like, why would you think this game's going to be good, Red? I mean, why? Why would you go there? Well, I mean, LSU, Texas A&M, why would that be good, Red? Why? Because Texas A&M has played a lot of good games this year and been close in a lot of them. They shouldn't have lost a few of them. Like, they shouldn't have lost to Auburn. They lost 28-24. They shouldn't have lost to Mississippi State 28-13. And they were in a lot of those other games. They were in it against Clemson. They almost beat them. But then everybody says, well, LSU is, they're phenomenal. They beat Mississippi State, and they beat Georgia, and they only got beat by Alabama. And they're pretty good this year. That's fine. I understand that. But your quarterback is young, doesn't have a whole lot of time playing center. And Kellen Mond has stepped up and looks phenomenal. Kellen Mond, 2,600 yards, 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. The kid's good, man. The kid is good. He's got a great coach with Jimbo Fisher, who just came over this year. Those two have molded together like cheese and fine wine. They look good together, let me tell you. So I'm excited to see this game. Joe Burrow, I'm kind of curious to see what he can do. He's went 9 for 4. He's really struggled the last few weeks for sure. He hasn't really had the touchdown ratio that he's really had over the last. The running game looks phenomenal, though. They're still putting points on the board, running the ball on the ground with Brosite. So I don't know. I honestly think it's going to be closer than a 2.5. They got it at 2.5 here, or I think it's going to be farther than a 2.5. They think it's even a close game as well. I got it at 5 points myself, 23-18, and I got LSU winning it. I don't think Texas A&M has the power this year to be able to pull it out with Jimbo as the first-year head coach. Next year, Texas A&M is going to be good. But I think this year they're just going to fall short. Give me LSU with the win, 23-18. That's 5 points. LSU covers the spread. And then one everybody's always pumped about. You got to have your eye on this game. This year, you got to still have your eye on this game, as much as it doesn't sound like you have to. This one team's 7-4. One team's undefeated. Everybody knows what it is. What is it? It's number 1 Alabama versus who? The Auburn War Eagles. That's right. Man. The Iron Bowl. The famed one. It's normally a night game. This time it's a 3:30 kick. It's going to be awesome. You got Jared Stidham. He's in there ready to go. 5th-year grad senior, ready to go. SEC kid. Came out of Baylor, ready to go. Justice Winslow, ready to run the football. That defense is going to be tough for Alabama to run against, though. Winslow has struggled a little bit the last few weeks. Now he's going against a very stingy defense in Alabama. Alabama has shut out 2 awesome offenses the past few weeks. They shut down Mississippi State and they shut down LSU back-to-back weeks. Haven't had points scored on them in over 2 weeks. So, no, they did not. They let some points get put up on them against, I don't even remember who they played, Cathedral or something like that this week. And they let them score 10. But other than that, the big schools that they played, they've not allowed them to score anything. Tua Tagovailoa looks like a machine out there. He's throwing for over 2,800 yards, 31 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's all he's thrown. So that's going to be crazy. And then you got Harris in the backfield for them. He looks like a typical Alabama back. Strong, powerful, and able to move. So this is going to be a good game. I know Alabama's going to blow them out of the water, but still think it's going to be a phenomenal game, and you got to keep your eye on it because Auburn gets hyped for this game and Alabama gets hyped for this game. Everybody in the state of Alabama will be hyped for this game. Always are, no matter how bad Auburn is or how bad Alabama is or how good both teams are. You're always hyped for this game because it has a lot of implication between those two teams in the state. I have Bama winning this game 42-24 at 18 points. That's what I have them winning at. The spread is 24. I got Alabama being not able to cover this spread. They were unable to cover last week, and they were able to cover the 2 weeks before that. I think they're unable to cover the spread again this week as well. Another one is a battle in Washington. This one I'm stoked about. Great quarterbacks. Great quarterbacks. You have Washington with Jake Browning, and you got Washington State with Minshew. Minshew was supposed to transfer to Alabama and go over there and be the starter, but he ended up staying with Mike Leach there at Washington State. I think it was a great move for him, and that obviously helped Mike Leach because Mike Leach helped him out a lot. This is going to be a awesome game, I think. A lot of people are on this Washington State bandwagon, but you can't count out Washington. Washington came into this year with high hopes. They made the playoffs last year, and they brought back their quarterback. They brought back their running back in Myles Gaskin. Everybody's hopes were high. They were like, this team is going to be good. I thought they were going to be good, but just didn't turn out. I mean, Fuller came back and was playing wide receiver good. just did not turn out for Washington the way it should have. Washington has had a tough year. They've lost 3 games, and it's been tough. It's been a tough year for them, and it was hard to see. And they're going against Washington State, who's on a high horse right now and playing at home. But it's kind of a 50-50 game when you play both in the same state. So this one's going to be tough. The books only have it as like a 4 or 5 point lean towards on the fans. The books have it at 2.5, which I believe 100% is right down there where about it should be looking at it. But I'm going to say it's going to be right at the line. I'm saying it's going to be 3. I really am. It's going to be right at 3. It's going to be 33-30. Washington State. I don't want to say it, but I got to. Washington State wins at 33-30. God, that one hurts because I really like Jake Browning. They got another quarterback stepping in there next year that's going to be good. The transfer from Georgia who came over in Eason. So that's going to be awesome for them to have Eason over there. Eason's the one who, I don't know if you guys know, was the starting quarterback for Georgia until he got hurt. He was then replaced by the quarterback they have now, which is Jake Fromm. Fromm then stepped in as a freshman, redshirt freshman, and looked phenomenal. And now they have another redshirt freshman at Georgia by the name of Jake Fields, and he looks phenomenal as well. So they got 2 good quarterbacks. Eason obviously had a smart decision to transfer out, use his red shirt at Washington, and set back and have great talent around him next year. So good move, I think, by him to be able to transfer out. So, but I'm excited to see what Washington can do next year. Disappointing to see that this year did not turn out for them after they had high expectations that they had. But the matchup that everybody is ready for, the big one, where game day is going to be, I'm pumped up for it. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff. It's middle of the day. Everybody will be watching it. I'm pumped. I'm not even know how I'm going to leave my TV from this one. This one is going to be spectacular. Number 4 Michigan, who is back for revenge, baby, is going to Columbus, Ohio, to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, yes, yes. Please, may I have another, because I am fired up and ready to go. Man, you got Dwayne Haskins, Shea Patterson. You got, let's see here, you got Higdon, J.K. Dobbins, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Whew. The people you're going to have in this game are going to be phenomenal, folks. I'm telling you, it's going to be a game you have to watch. They've came back and they did the revenge this year for sure. Michigan has. And I don't think they're ready to quit. I really don't. Dwayne Haskins has been showing that he can struggle. You get him running, he can struggle. He struggled last week in a game they should have lost, actually. Ohio State should have lost to Maryland. Should have lost, but they did not. Got lucky, missed 2-point conversion, but they should have lost that game. So, take notes from that game, folks. Michigan's going to win this game. I'm telling you right now, Shea Patterson, the transfer from Ole Miss, looks phenomenal. He's only a junior. He's coming back next year. This team's only going to be better. Higdon's coming back next year. Donovan Peoples-Jones, if he doesn't leave, is coming back next year, which I hope he does not. He's phenomenal hands. A lot of people having him coming out, but I don't think he should. You got 2 great running backs. J.K. Dobbins turned it on the last few weeks. Real quiet at the start of the year, bang, turned it on for Ohio State. But Dwayne Haskins has not been the quarterback a lot of people have thought he was going to be this year. He's thrown 36 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but struggled in big games for sure. But Shea Patterson, folks, I'm telling you, the kid is real. Watch this game if you get the chance. This is the one I'm most pumped up about. The people have Michigan State as the lean to win this game for sure. The spread is 4. Michigan. And this is the biggest underdog that Michigan State has been in a long time. I mean, Ohio State has been in a long time, and I am pumped. I love it because Michigan is my team. Jim Harbaugh, love it. I have it as a very close game. I don't have it even covering the spread. I don't have Michigan covering the spread right here. I got to be in 28-26 Michigan, and Michigan pulls it out with a stop late in the game to win it because Ohio State starts driving down the field, and Ohio State is unable to do it because Dwayne Haskins can't stand up to the pressure from the edge rushers that they have at Ohio State. They pick the football off and pull in and are able to do it as they get close to field goal range and win this game. 28-26, 2 points. Give it to me. Michigan wins this game. Couple things you guys need to know about this game, though, before it happens. This is the 115th meeting between these two teams. Michigan leads the series 58-49-6. So it's 58-49-6 is what it is. Michigan leads that. And Ohio State has won the last 6. And Michigan has not won a game in Columbus since 2000. 18 years it's been since they won their sweet, sweet revenge. How would that be for Jim Harbaugh to come in there and win and do it in Columbus and not even have to do it at home at the Big House, but he's going to do it in Columbus. Get that big win, get his team into the playoffs, get him to the Big Ten Championship, but they'll face Northwestern. Northwestern's a task you can't look over either because they're going to be tough. But to get into that Big Ten Championship, be the first time Jim Harbaugh has done it as head coach for Michigan. It would be a bittersweet taste for him because that's his alma mater. So I think Michigan is going to win this game, folks. I've already said it, 28-26. I can't stop saying it because I'm pumped for it. I'm so pumped up for that game that I don't know what to say. I'm hoping everybody else is pumped just like I am for it. But make sure you come back here next week and hear me break that game down and see if my enthusiasm's still just as high because Michigan won it or if Ohio State came in there and beat them. So make sure you come back right here next week and find out about all those games that I predicted and find out which one was the best, find out who the upsets were, find out who's headed to their respective championship games. So come back right here next week on the Red Line. See you guys then.